I'm probably cussing because I'm high or because I'm not high. Be advised. Hey y'all, I'm Jenn. I'm from Oakland and I'm an androgynous black lesbian feminist and a lover of all black people.
This is Daren. I'm an asexual novelist, researcher, and bona fide comic book fanatic from the widest part of Southern California.
Orange County. We're queer millennials with 3 kids and nearly 20 years of marriage.
This is a podcast about the realities of blackness, adulting, and relationships.
This is That Black Couple. Hello.
Hello.
Why are you talking like that?
I don't know. It's felt like fun.
Please relax yourself. Jesus Christ. Hello. It's still July.
I know when it's hot.
And it's still fucking cancer season, bro.
It feels like it.
It does.
It does.
I'm feeling the feelings. Everything is emotional. Everything is stressful. Everything is over the top. It's too much. We need to relax. Not that Leo season is going to be any better. It's just going to be loud and sad.
Oh, God.
And stressful and overwhelming. I'm a high until September when things make sense again. Like, why our sign only got to come up every few months? Like, why don't they have a solid chunk of earth signs?
We just got to have a little bit of, like, frenzy thrown in there.
Yeah, just a little. I think the word you're looking for is fuckery.
Yeah, fuckery.
Fuckery. Whatever. Anyway. Hey, y'all. This is episode 2 of season 5 of That Black Couple. And again, go grab some water.
So
grab
important.
some water. Throw a little liquid IV in there to get some extra electrolytes and vitamins. So you don't be looking like I've been looking all week, limping around with a swollen ankle. What happened?
Heat happened.
Why am I so...
You're almost back. You're almost back, though.
Why does my body not respond like it did when I was in my 20s?
It's tired. It's been through a lot.
Do you know I used to walk all up and down Disneyland, going to meetings for work, walking 95 degrees in my dress clothes at work.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can't even go to a soccer game.
You can't even sit at a soccer game.
I can't sit and drink lemonade at a soccer game without being injured for a week, man. It's not right. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just a little triggered. Have a seat. This is That Black Couple. I'm Jenn.
I'm Daren.
And before we get started, please make sure you follow us on the Broken Twitter, Instagram at That BOK Couple, on Facebook at That Black Couple, and look us up on the internets at www.thatblackcouple.com.
Ain't we on Threads too?
Oh, yes. And Threads.
What are we on Threads?
Same thing, That BOK Couple.
That BOK Couple.
Because Zuckerberg owns both Facebook and Instagram, because Meta is a monopoly, and soon there'll be no Musk because everything will be Facebook.
Yay!
Yay! AI.
Now, transitioning out of that,
yes.
You could obviously stream our episodes anywhere podcast episodes are streams. So that means Apple Podcasts. It means Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Pandora. All those places.
Every week I asked if people still have Pandora, and I was just about to ask it again.
I know, because it's shocking that it still exists, but it really still exists.
Anyway,
we should. I should see if my Pandora account is still active. And see.
I know mine is because it's on my phone. And I turned it on, and I was like, "Whoa!" It's embarrassing.
We should try. You know, it might suggest some new stuff.
I'm good.
You good? You sure?
I'm good. The algorithm got me from Jenn from 2009. I'm good. I'm a different person.
Oh, and of course, not to be forgotten, all y'all, you gotta subscribe on Patreon,
please.
You know, that's where we put the extra stuff. That's where we could put, you know, the little extra stank
bonus episodes.
Also, sometimes we release stuff there a little bit earlier than we do to the public. So if you want to be in the end, if you want to be in the know,
giveaways, special talks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where you need to be.
Be on Patreon. Also support our work. That's how, this is mostly funded through us. And the other ways that we are funded is through our listeners. So we appreciate y'all for all the support so far, and we would love to have more.
Thank you. Patreon.com, y'all.
Hey.
Let's go.
Okay. So what's the name of this episode, Daren?
The name of this episode is Navigating Disability and Gender Policing.
Because this is Disability Pride Month.
Yes, it is.
And I was listening to, okay, so we talked about Disability Pride Month a while ago, and I was doing some research and reading about how people are a little disappointed that, you know, people have so much excitement about Pride Month in June, and there's so much fanfare and all these corporations get involved, and then Disability Pride Month happens in July, and it's like crickets. Like, there's not a lot happening. There's not a lot of emphasis on what disability means across multiple communities and the ways that disability intersects in so many ways with other forms of marginalization. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about in today's episode.
Yes, and it is important that we do spotlight, you know, all of the different communities, right?
Right.
You know, not to take anything away from Pride Month, but Pride Month, you know, right now it's sexy, right?
Yeah.
It's really sexy to be involved and to put rainbows on everything.
To be conscious.
You know, it's because, you know, honestly, from a corporate point of view, it's a way to get your money.
Sure.
But right, also from a more societal point of view, it's something that is in the realm of being much more acceptable, but also kind of edgy.
Right. And there's not as much stigma associated with being gay at this point because so many, you know, white men who are wealthy are also gay. And people are like, oh, I can relate to that. A cis white man is gay. Cool.
And that's why we have all of that emphasis. Right. But disability right now, the very concept of disability is something I think in a general sense that we still kind of want to tuck away and hide. Especially
disabilities that are not physically embodied, that people feel like they cannot see, in air quotes.
I think it makes people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
I think, you know, in a lot of ways people don't know how to approach.
Yeah.
And so they would rather just not.
I think the other part of this, right, is that when I think about Pride Month, I also think about how it started, right? When we think about the fact that Pride started exactly a year after folks like Marsha P. Johnson and Storma de la Vare, right, and Sylvia Rivera were literally fighting for their lives in front of Stonewall Inn, right? Like, this happened because there were so many Black, brown, trans, disabled, houseless immigrant people who were being surveilled and policed in New York City. And a lot of them understood themselves not only as queer or as trans, but also as disabled. Marsha P. Johnson was disabled, right? These are people who are disabled. So I think it's really interesting now that when we think about pride, so much of pride has been co-opted by these very able-bodied, cisgender, you know, middle class, white males who for the most part got to sit out of Stonewall, who had been seeing what was happening to Black trans women, to brown trans women, to queer folks who were being put out of their families. This was during the AIDS crisis as well, right? This was also a time when people were seeing their children, right, you know, diagnosed with HIV, AIDS, and then they were dead. Right. Yeah. This was a time where folks' fear of queerness was also associated with this disease that they had no knowledge of, they didn't understand, and they just associated it with being gay. So the stigma was a kind of a generational and a national stigma, right? And that is also how we can think about disability, right? These are people who were sick. Right? These are people who were sick and needed community and support and family and were put out on the streets instead, right? But it's so weird that people don't think of any of this stuff that way. To me, it's just so strange.
Well, I think it's much easier for people to ignore disability or to say, oh, well, there's laws in place and there's ramps to get into buildings and and there's parking spaces. Like I think when people think about disability, they think about institutionalized, kind of recognize disability in that way. They don't think about the day-to-day things that people go through. They don't think about the different forms that disability takes, whether it's something, very physical, if it's something that's internal to your body, if it's something that affects your eyesight, if it's something that affects you in your mental capacity. Like there's so many things that people don't put under the umbrella, at least in their own minds, that, I think when they think about disability pride, they're like, okay, so this is pride of wheelchairs. And I'm like, it's so short-sighted.
Right. HIV is essentially a chronic disease.
Yeah.
It's a chronic infection. It's so strange to me that people, whatever. It stresses me out. But I'm glad that we're talking about it today because I think that people across disability communities have said, like, hey, y'all suck. We need to have this conversation.
Podcast is supported by generous donations from our patrons and listeners. Become a supporter today by heading to www.patreon.com/colorcombosmedia.
You can stream the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. When you listen, please consider hitting that heart button, sharing, giving us a 5-star rating, and leaving some dope comments. This helps us with our page rankings and gets more listeners for the show. Thank you so much.
And we're back.
And we are back.
And it's time for the conversation.
It's time for the conversation.
And we're talking about policing.
Oh, God. I'm happy, though, because when we say policing, people automatically think about police. And I think that we're going to expand that conversation to understand how policing is beyond police.
Oh, we're going to expand it. And I think actually the focus is much more on people outside
civic
of
policing.
a formalized policing body.
Citizen policing, yes.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's talk about it. So when I think about disability policing, what comes to mind for me is the idea that you might have a disability and it might affect you in some type of way, and someone doesn't understand it, or someone wants to rein it in, or in some cases someone thinks it's unfair that you get a special accommodation that someone else doesn't, right? And someone then inserts themselves, very much in a, I guess, Karen-esque sort of way to police whatever that behavior is, right? And I think in what I would argue is probably the most recognizable form of that, and I talked about parking spaces, right? It's when people say, I'm just going to put my car in that space, right? Because I don't want to walk the extra 5 feet, or that's an inconvenience to me, or it's open, so it's perfectly fine for me to sit my car in there for the next 10 minutes while I run in the store, right? It really just does not leave space for the people who really need that space, right? It's basically taking up the space that's supposed to be held for those with disabilities. The other one that comes to mind for me is, you're a professor and students get accommodations. They get accommodations for their testing or for the work that they're doing, right? And there's this, it's this feeling of things not being fair. It's this feeling of like, why do they get something extra that I don't, right? And the whole point of accommodations is that you are already at an advantage compared to someone else because of the disability that they carry, right? And so the whole point of an accommodation is to allow them some extra space or extra care to more or less put you on equal footing. But in this kind of concept goes, I think, we're going to talk about race and gender and all those things, but I feel like it elevates to that type of a conversation because there's always this belief, I think, of whatever the majority is, or the unaggrieved, that feels like whoever the aggrieved or the marginalized is gets something special that they don't, and that's not fair. Right. And so then people feel the need or feel the urge or feel, in some cases, the right or even the responsibility to step in and draw attention to this unfair system that's leaving them behind or making things harder for them. Right. And to me, that is the very concept of policing. And I think with disability, it shows up in very sinister ways, because, the very concept of disability is really something, number one, it's out of your control in most cases. Sometimes it's biological, sometimes it's mental. It's something, within your body, like there's not anything you can really do to overcome it. Right. And so for someone to police that and then at the same time kind of say, well, you're getting that's something that I should get, right? The very concept of it is so sinister. It just really boils my blood.
It boils your blood because you're a disabled person, right? What? Like, I think that both of us navigate our bodies in ways that are different because, like, you understand you've had physical injuries and you've been incapacitated. You've navigated, aging, right? And the things that happen to your body as you age, where you're like, oh, I got to take care of these things now, and things don't work the way that they used to, right? So it gives you a different perspective.
Well, but it's also, I've cared for you, someone with a disability, right? And I feel like it's the same thing when people talk about like, oh, I understand race now because I have a black friend, right? It's like the idea of, I can't understand that until I have a personal tie or personal experience to it, which to me really flies in the face of what the very idea of humanity is. So it's so inhumane for people to say, well, I can't get it because I haven't had that experience.
But here's the thing, right? I think what's interesting about policing is that our policies and systems are not, people always think that things being systemic means that it started with the system, but actually it starts with the people, because the people are the ones who create the systems, right? So what you're describing, like the stigma and all this stuff, comes from a place of disbelief, right? Because able-bodied people don't believe disabled people, just like cisgender people don't believe trans people, right? Just like straight people don't believe queer people, right? There is this kind of enduring disbelief. You're making it up. You're making it up because you want to game the system, because you're a freeloader, you're a free rider. You want to extract from the system in ways that I can't. That's how you're going to get ahead of me. Because we live in a society that is capitalistic and that says that everything that we do is about rational choice and rational interest. And so if I petition the government for my own grievances, it's not just so that I can have a healthy and safe life and survive. It's so that I can get more of the pie. Right? And when we could extrapolate this to conversations on attacks on CRT, this recent banning of affirmative action, right? Even though we have generations of racial slavery in this country, the idea that now we would say, you don't need affirmative action, everything's fine. That is incredibly cruel. Incredibly cruel. The fact that they offered GI programs to let folks get homes, and as soon as black people started getting them, they said, yeah, no, we need to stop this, right? It's like, when we're talking about disability, we have to also talk about race. We have to also talk about gender, right? We have to also talk about all of these ways that the system is created and recreated and transformed each generation, right, to further support people who benefit the most from it as it is. Right? They don't want to make it more accessible. That doesn't help cisgender, able-bodied, middle-class, white, heterosexual men, right? It doesn't help them to ensure that there are ramps, right? That's extra money. That's taxpayer dollars, right? We should just learn how to walk, right? Like, why should I have closer parking? I should just go to another store. You know, like that's how people genuinely feel. Yeah. And when I think about this idea, and the reason why I want to talk about gender as well is because I navigate disability in a gendered body, right? I would navigate disability in a body that people read as female, as feminine, and I am a trans person. I'm a person who is agender. I'm a person who is gender non-binary, and the ways that people, you know, police my panic attacks and my anxiety. You know, oh, you'll be fine. Oh, you just relax. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm literally like, I can't breathe. And they're like, no, just 1, 2, 3, breathe.
That's it.
That's it. I'm walking around, I'm limping, I'm in pain. And they're like, ooh, what's wrong? Oh, well, I have this, you know, medical condition, and it makes it really hard sometimes for my circulation. I'll explain the whole thing. And they're like, ooh, girl, that sounds stressful. Meanwhile, I'm carrying my own bag on crutches, and they don't offer to help with anything. You know, things that they would offer people because of their gender. If I were a white woman who was able-bodied, they'd offer to carry my bag. But I'm a black woman who's disabled on crutches, and they're like, you can carry your bag while you're on crutches. You see what I'm saying? It's astounding to me. And I feel like I'm in this body, and I'm watching it happen to me, and I'm always shocked. I'm always shocked because there's something about being black where you seem well, you seem muscular, you seem strong. And then as a black woman, that's somehow increased tenfold. You can do anything.
Well, honestly, this is very strange, but it reminds me of what's happening in Florida. Yeah. Where they're changing the educational standards to teach kids that slavery taught people valuable lessons and skills. Yeah. Like, it was a trade program. Like, it's really weird that stuff is happening, but in a sad way, it makes sense, right? With exactly what you just talked about. Yeah. Of course, well, people feel like, oh, you're stronger, or you're more capable, or you're more resilient.
We're not allowed to be disabled. We're not allowed to be disabled because we're not prescribed the prescriptions that we need, or we're overprescribed prescriptions that just dull us. I was on a medication for 5 years, and at one point I was like, man, I don't feel anything. I can't cry. I'm not laughing. I don't experience any joy. And I had to get off the prescription and realize, oh shit, I was taking this antidepressant. Yep. And I wasn't depressed because I wasn't feeling anything, you know? And it's just like, we're not allowed to we're not allowed to be disabled because the idea is that that'll take away from our labor, you know? Like I just got comfortable explaining to my employer, hey, I can't do this because of my anxiety and because of the way it affects me. But I can do that now as a tenure track professor, but I could not do that in grad school.
No.
I couldn't do that in grad school.
Because people would
I tried.
identify that as a weakness.
That's a weakness. You're not committed.
Right.
You're not committed.
If you were committed, then you could overcome whatever that obstacle was.
I had men in there screaming at me, you know, and like I'm crying. It's emotional abuse that you endure. And it's like, well, you'll be all right. And I'm like, this is killing me. This is killing me.
But part of it is, you know, getting back to what you talked about is, you know, the system and people trying to game the system.
Yeah.
Right. Because to be honest, there is almost always someone that is trying to game the system.
Sure.
There is someone that's lying. There is someone that's saying, I'm disabled, when they don't actually have the disability.
But we believe people. That's what we do.
But that's the problem, right? And that's the shift that needs to happen, is that universally or more unilaterally we need to be believing people.
Right.
Because the way the system is set up is we will look at the one and say that one person gamed the system. Right. That therefore I'm going to cast that on all of the people.
Right.
And it's just this inductive thinking will be our downfall.
But even then, right? Even then, to me, it's like whether or not people lie, it has nothing to do with anything, right? Whether or not folks are going through their own issues and navigating how they identify, you know, with their disability and all that stuff has nothing to do with anything, right? The world should be accessible. Mm-hmm. Regardless of all of that, the world should be accessible. I should be able to go outside and I should be able to fit things. I should be able to walk and get into buildings. I should be able to use the bathroom when I'm in a building. There should be a bathroom accessible to me. I shouldn't have to limp up and down stairs or go through stairs, walk down a hallway, go up the next stairs, hit an elevator, and then find a bathroom because back in the day, you know, we kept the women's gender separate. It's 2023. Mm-hmm. As a disabled person, you have me doing what? You want me to climb who? You want me to go where? You know, like no conception for the fact that they'll be like, oh, you look healthy. You look fit. Listen, I don't care how I look. I'm not finna go up them stairs. Where's the elevator?
But that's where the policing comes in.
Right.
You just said it. You look. Why do you
Why
get
are you
to
looking
judge?
At me?
Do you have X-ray
but also,
eyes?
Why are you looking at me? Don't perceive me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what also gets me. And we're going to talk about that in the reflection too. That's the shit right there. Right? Mm-hmm. This idea that by looking at your body, I have some right to tell you anything. You have no right to tell me a single fucking thing about me because you looked at my body, because you gazed at me. Your gaze means nothing. Your gaze means fucking nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is where we really, I'm always so confused as to why white people, especially white men, believe that their gaze is so powerful that they can look upon a perfect stranger and decide what is happening inside their body. Motherfucker, your eyes are not an x-ray machine. You are not a human MRI. What are we doing?
You can find my mom and dad, aka That Black Couple, on the web at thatblackcouple.com. That Black Couple is owned and operated by Color Combos Media. If you would like to help fund our content, sign up at www.patreon.com/colorcombosmedia. Please consider giving us $5 or $10 per month to help us build our platform and grow our organization. You can also give one-time donations at www.paypal.me/colorcombosmedia. All donations are welcome.
Okay, child. We're back. I'm livid.
Rightfully so.
I'm still mad. Okay, this is the reflection. Can I start the reflection?
Yes, because you've been wanting to reflect.
I have.
Since
I'm
before
mad
the
about
episode
this.
started.
I'm so angry. So last night we were at our children's play. They were playing the Lion King play, and you know, they were like, "Don't take no pictures, don't take no videos," and I was like, "We'll see." And I was around the room, and hell, these little white women had their phones out and was recording the whole thing. So I said, "Oh, okay." It's like when you merge on the freeway and you follow the flow of traffic. Mm-hmm. So I was like, "I'm taking mine out." So of course, I'm the one person who some white man, I'm pretty sure it was a white man who was running the show, walks up behind me. I didn't turn my head to look because I almost beat his ass. He turned. I was there. The show was starting, and he like sees my phone and goes, "Put your phone away," while like poking in my shoulder, like, "Put your phone away. I need you to put your phone away right now. Excuse me. Put your phone away." And he's digging in my shoulder, like poking in my shoulder. And I didn't turn my back. I kept laughing and giggling at the show. I turned my phone off. I put it away. I didn't say a word because I'm from Oakland. Don't fucking touch me. Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. What is wrong with people? Don't fucking touch me. Why are you touching my body? First of all. Second of all, I'm looking around like, it's like 7, 8, 9, 10 phones. I'm pointing at the phones. She got a phone. They got a phone. At one point, a flash went off in the show. Mm-hmm. Niggas was just taking pictures. You know what I'm saying? But the only person who got a finger in the shoulder was me. The only person who got a finger in the shoulder was me. And it made me so angry, right? But then I thought about last weekend. I went to a 4-diamond hotel resort with my partner. And she dresses more masculinely than I do. She's shorter. She got shaved hair sides and she wears a little puff on the top. But she's very clearly a woman. There's no question about it. She's a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm 38. She don't look 20. But the whole time we're walking through this resort, she's getting carted. Like carted. And I've been in there with people who look much younger than her on many occasions. They've never been carded. Not a single time has anyone else I've been in there with ever been carded. And I was like, what is this? And she was only being carded by the white men. And they wanted to make jokes about it. And one of them told me I looked old and that's why he didn't card me. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And it was all older white men. Like they all had like white hair, gray hair. They were older white men. Mm-hmm. The younger white men didn't give a fuck. The young black men didn't care. The young black women didn't. All the black women didn't care. The only people who harassed us and who policed our bodies were the older white men. And they had all these explanations. "Oh, I'm so sorry. You just look really young, blah, 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 blah." And then they would start talking to me. Talking about me and how I look. "Oh, you play basketball. Why are you looking at us?" You see what I'm saying? And it felt like there was some type of juxtaposition happening between her body and mine. My more feminine, blonde, tall, shapely body and her shorter, more masculine looking body. Where they look at me and they expect to see me with some heteronormative man. And when they look at me and then look over and they see this petite woman, she needs to get carded. Why would you card her and not me?
It's very strange.
It's so strange.
And it's one of those things. I remember when, like in grocery stores, they started to say, "We just carding everybody."
Right.
But because if you're carding, that's what you should be doing. You should be carding everybody.
Right.
And so it's very strange to have two people in front of you that are together.
Yes.
And you only card
We're wearing
one.
matching Crocs. We're dressed like someone's auntie.
Like, what did they think could have been happening?
I don't know.
Like, it's so
Meanwhile,
bizarre.
I'm watching other black women who look very much younger than us, petite, young black women, walking right by. Then they don't say nothing. But they look phenotypically like cis-normative heterosexual black women. They're wearing longer hair. You know, they're wearing kind of what you would expect to see, you know, longer dresses, you know, things like that. No carding. You see what I'm saying? And it just felt to me like one of those situations where the thing that was supposed to be getting policed was age. But what ended up being policed was gender and sexuality.
Yes.
And this is what frequently happens. And I was sitting there thinking about this guy digging his finger into my shoulder, right? Like he could have simply said, "Hey, ma'am, hey, we just want everybody's phones off." And I would have said, "Oh, okay. Do you see those 2 people or 3 people down there with their phones on? Are you going to ask them as well?" I would have just asked him. Mm-hmm. But because he physically, forcefully put his hand on my body, it felt like he was policing my body. Mm-hmm. He was going to force me to turn my phone off. He was going to physically police my body. And that's what it feels like every day when you're at these multiple intersections, be it disability, be it gender, be it race, be it sexuality, be it immigration status. You know, I have friends who have told me about how they have had to work on their accents and changing their names. Their name is a clearly Latinx name or Latin name, and they change it to something that does not give off red flags, that does not draw attention for fear of policing. And then they're even more afraid if people find out, "Oh, I'm also disabled," right? It's like that's the thing that people hold closest to the chest, because the last thing they want people to know is that, "Oh, my brain works differently from theirs." You know what I'm saying? And it's just, it really frustrates me because we have to every day go out and prepare ourselves to encounter these these breaches of our personal space. And it's like we have to just decide. You know what I'm saying? Like what we're willing to like relinquish, what privacy.
Well, it's, to me, it's the very concept of the other, right? That's really kind of what you're speaking to is I am here, I'm in, the norm, and you're over there and you're the other, whether it be that you're black or you're trans or you're disabled in some way, or, whatever you are, my eyes are looking at you, policing you, and deciding that you don't fit with me over here.
Yeah.
And so because you don't fit, I don't understand you.
Mm-hmm.
You are the deviant. You are outside of the norm. You are something that needs to be policed and brought in,
mm-hmm.
or you are something that needs to be inspected to make sure that you're not crossing some boundary, right? And we really do live in a time where I feel like that's all we're seeing in the news media.
Correct.
Is this so many different forms of policing trying to be enacted.
Yeah.
Because of fear of the other.
Yeah.
Right. And so like the whole thing of policing of drag queens to me is the story of the year, because I'm like, you're policing something that
there's never been a drag queen crime. There's never been like a spate of drag queen murders. Oh, like homicidal drag queens.
I mean, this could be something that happened, but I've just never heard someone say, "Oh my God, when I was 5-year-old, a drag queen read me a story, and then I was infected with drag queenism, and I'm just now recovering." Like this isn't real.
It's obscene.
It's not real.
It's obscene, and I think it's also important to note how often, especially when the right talks about drag queens and gender and sexuality, they equate it with mental disability. They say, "Oh, you're sick. Something's wrong with you." They use a C word. They make it seem like there's something wrong with the way your brain works, and that's why you're queer, and that's why you're trans.
Even the idea that having a disability means something is wrong with you. That is the crux of the issue. That you're broken,
right? And transness was considered a psychiatric problem for most of last century. Yes,
being gay was
right. We're just coming out of the actual generation, the actual century when those things were considered by the actual Association of Psychiatric. The American Psychiatric Association considered those things to be disabilities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people were going to hospitals to try and recover from being trans. People were checking themselves into psychiatric wards to try not to be gay.
But and I mean, this is a whole other episode we're kind of treading into right now. Are. But the very idea that every disability is something that should be treated, right? It's
and corrected. Like, it's like we need to not be it.
Like I get it, right? There are some things like I broke my leg. Let's heal your leg. While your leg is broken, you were disabled.
But if I have ADHD, bro, that's how somebody's brain works.
That's just how you're made, and that doesn't make it mean it wrong. Right. It just means you function in a different way.
And this is why I get so concerned, because I'm like, we are really in a time where folks do not understand that difference can be perfectly okay. Difference.
But I feel like this is when I think about when we were kids, right, and the whole thing was about diversity, right? That was the whole thing they were trying to drill into people's heads. It's like, difference is good.
Sure.
Let's celebrate difference. Sure. Difference actually makes things better. And I just feel like
we're gone.
We just fell backwards.
We need to read some Audre Lorde.
We were climbing up that mountain, and then we fell all the way back down.
Audre Lorde done told us, and when my book comes out, we need to read that, Policing Blackness.
Yep. There you go. That's it right there.
There you go.
That's it.
Because I guess I'm just tired. I'm just tired of being screamed at by white men. I'm tired of being touched. I'm tired of my physical body being approached. I'm just tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of Western medicine. I'm tired of it, the way the doctors think it's okay to treat you. It's just, wow. Like,
and that is why Disability Pride Month is so important.
It's so important.
It's the same thing like we were talking about Pride Month, right? It was a pushing back against the violence, right? That's why Disability Pride Month is so important. We need to push back against that same type of violence.
Yeah, but we need people to give a shit, though.
Yeah. Thank y'all for listening. Before you go, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ThatBLKCouple, on Facebook at ThatBlackCouple, and look us up on the internets at www.thatblackcouple.com.
Bye.